Good morning, hello, and welcome everyone to SMB Stories MSME Week Grand Finale. I am Deepti Nair here, and I will be your host through the afternoon. You know, these past 100 days almost feel like a century, and and so many lives and businesses have been disrupted. We are constantly talking about change, but we rarely get to see it unfolding in front of our eyes. Truly, the future is now. In these past 7 days, we have been talking to a number of entrepreneurs, small and medium businesses, not only to highlight their challenges, but also the opportunities that are there in this to be found in this COVID crisis. Today, we culminate this week-long event with a grand finale today on MSME Day. I would like to thank our sponsors, TransUnion Civil and Dell Technologies, for their support. Allow me now, I would also like to thank all of you who have supported us through this entire week by joining us and sharing your thoughts and questions with our panelists and suggesting changes. We truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Allow me now to welcome Shraddha Sharma, Your Story founder and CEO, to shed some light on what this whole the vision behind SMB Story is, which we started about 2 years ago, and not only to celebrate the small and medium businesses, but also to have more conversations about the challenges and the opportunities that are available for them. Welcome, Shraddha, to the grand finale of MSME Week. And we are very happy to have you here. You have been talking to a lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs through these past, not only 100 days, of course, so many years, but these 100 days specifically, why I'm highlighting is because it's a new normal. And you have been listening to so many, opinions. And what have been your learnings from a while after talking to so many businesses?
Deepti, thank you so much. I'm so excited that we are doing this MSME week, and I'm so proud of SME Story, and I'm so proud of you. You championed this so amazingly. And the last 90 days, if I may say so, or 100 days, or whatever the number of days, because there's no sense of days now and what day it is, because this world has completely changed. But one thing, what have I have realized is that again it reaffirms the faith that how we as people are people, as we are so human, and we are so uh, you know there is this will to move, there's this will to continuously do, there's a will to survive, and there's a will to protect your business, protect what you've built, and go figure out whatever it takes to manage and do the best you can. It's like, most of us as entrepreneurs, we keep on saying that what we have created or what we have built is our baby, but abhi pata chalta hai ki wo baby kya hota hai, because it has been very tough time, and especially for SMB businesses, it has been tough because you don't get that kind of attention. It's not glamorous and sexy, and if you have not raised too much of money, then you don't even have that kind of surplus cash sitting in your bank. So amidst all these things, how do you just figure out? And every day, to me, what has been a very humbling experience is talking to entrepreneurs, talking to people, and just seeing the resilience, seeing the fight, seeing the वो होप कि कर लेंगे. मतलब stress है, मतलब stress is too much of stress, but at the same time just not succumbing to stress, but actually fighting and figuring out new ways in the new normal that we are talking about. How do you continue to run your business? How do you continue to pay your salaries? How do you continue to grow? And I'm very happy and uh, proud to say that it's been humbling, and I've seen so many businesses innovate this time. They're all innovating. We've all become innovators because we have no other option but to innovate, because if you have to survive, then you have to innovate. And so these have been some of the broad level things that one has been closely watching for the last 90 days.
Yeah, with this whole focus, again, a renewed focus on vocal for local, right? And, focusing on our local industries, a couple of things that, learnings have been in that area, like how do businesses take advantage of say some of the policies that the government has initiated, and because everybody is talking about capital right now, how to have that cash flow. So any particular things that you would like to tell our listeners today and to the businesses about this, how to bring back that focus and take advantage of this local for vocal, vocal for local, and focus on local industries?
Deepti, see, honestly, I don't, sorry, I'll be judged, but I don't believe in all these things. Vocal for local, मतलब ये अभी है ट्रेंड है क्योंकि कोरोना है और हम सबकी फटी हुई है and it's a very bad time. तो अभी vocal for local है because I always believe that economics precedes everything and economics takes over. So when the market will get okay, India, if India has to grow, we all are very aware of the fact that if India has to grow, the overall macroeconomics has to do well for us at our own micro small level to do well. तो economy को अच्छा करना है और अगर economy, how will the economy do well? Economy will do well. One of the biggest drivers would be the FDI money coming from the world. And today, India being the largest democracy with the kind of population we have, we need external capital flowing to the country, and that will happen. And then when that happens, how the economics takes over. So I would say that entrepreneurs and to all of us, because I like this. I like the feeling, and I'm very proud that I'm Indian and I'm in India for whatever challenges there are. But I wouldn't give so much of importance to the campaigns of vocal for local or whatever for that matter, because for me, fundamentally, मैं strong business धंधा बना रही हूँ या नहीं, and that is what everyone has to think at this point, because we all are getting in our craziness and stress at least time to reflect कि भैया हम सही बना रहे हैं या नहीं. And that if you make fundamentally a strong real cash flow business, then चाहे वो vocal for local हो या global for local हो, जो भी हो, it doesn't even matter because you're making a good business. And I think that's what we should be thinking about. But of course, if it's opportunistic and you think that there is something that can come out of this vocal for local, go for it. But I just think that these things don't last. What lasts is a lasting, strong business.
Yeah. 2 years ago, you started the SMB story. What was that? Of course, your story is known for startups and for tech startups, and we built this reputation over the years with that. What was the need for why did you feel the need to have an SMB story and to highlight small and medium businesses and our Indian brands?
Yeah, so why I started. So there's a very interesting story I have to tell everyone who's watching this. And this is the first time I'm saying it publicly. So we were sitting in our room, in our office boardroom, and we were discussing. And one of our very senior people in our team only, now he's not in the team, but he said, मैंने कहा SMB story करते हैं because 12 years back when I had started your story, startups were not glamorous, right? 2008 में कोई startup सुना नहीं था, but they needed a voice. I was with CNBC, I was with Times of India, and I knew that bade businesses everyone used to value, but chote business were not cool and sexy, and tech businesses and all that. And that's it. Let's start celebrating stories and positive. So that was your story, and do it like crazily, passionately every day. And we've done that. And 2 years pehle I thought that startups are becoming big noise, but SMBs are like, oh, old business, old economy, old school. So let's make them sexy, cool, and strong and amazing. And one of the editors people in my team said, SMB story खुलेगा तो वो तो मैं रद्दी में फेंक दूंगा, मतलब I throw it in the dustbin, because who will read about SMBs? They're not exciting, and they're not cool, and nobody wants to read about them. And that also triggered a far more strong challenge that let's write about stories, because here are people who are building real businesses. And what we just need to do, what do we do well? We tell stories well, we know how to jazz it up, we know how to go to market and tell this in the best possible way. So let's get these phenomenal, extraordinary, gritty stories and make them cool. And I'm very proud that SMB story and Deepti, you've done a fantastic job. The team has done a fantastic job. That आज हम कर रहे हैं और करते रहेंगे और बड़े ढंग से करेंगे और अच्छे से करेंगे. So that's the reason for starting SMB story.
Wonderful. One thing that you would like to tell both the sides, like traditional businesses and tech startups, what to learn from each other?
Oh, from each other. From एक हिंदी word है, I don't know what's the English of it, स्थिरता from the SMBs.
Stability.
Stability within you, stability within
consistency,
yeah, stability within you as entrepreneurs, as business owners, stability in your model, stability in your expectations, and stability when things don't go right in, things don't happen as you want, then pagal nahi ho jana. And I think that is what SMBs, and even if the spotlight is not on you, because spotlight एक अजीब चीज होती है, बहुत इतनी घूमते रहती है, spotlight is like I would say Lakshmi, goddess Lakshmi, doesn't stay. She's chanchal and she keeps, as money never stays, so does spotlight. It keeps on changing. But uske bawajood, apna business, having, building your own voice, building your own business, believing is what I think SMBs bring. And it's very inspiring. And for startups, I would say agility, so that startups can learn, because I am also, I would rate myself, I don't know in which category, but at least there's a huge restlessness, there's a huge need to prove, huge need for validation, huge need for uh, uh, going and doing everything overnight in startups and new age entrepreneurs. So I think that can be learned from SMBs. And from SMBs, I would say, the whole nimbleness, ki experiment karte rehna, uh, from startups. But at the end of the day, I think it's not startups and SMBs, it's mindset and it's attitude. सही एटीट्यूड है, सही माइंडसेट है, और लंबी रेस का घोड़ा होना, एवरीथिंग आई थिंक इफ यू लुक फ्रॉम द लेंस ऑफ लॉन्ग टर्म, तो कुछ भी बुरा नहीं लगता है, बिकॉज लाइफ इज इन फेजेस. राइट नाउ वी आर इन बैड फेज, बट गुड फेज होना ही है, क्योंकि बैड फेज डजंट कंटिन्यू. सो आई थिंक इफ यू हैव द राइट एटीट्यूड ना, तो सब ठीक होता है. एटीट्यूड और माइंडसेट में अगर वो है प्रॉब्लम है, then I think everything looks like a problem. So I think, yeah, that's, and I respect entrepreneurs who bring that kind of real, gritty, resilient, perseverant, not giving up, and very positive and hopeful mindset. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shraddha. Thank you for taking time out and being part of this grand finale. And last year we did one grand finale. I remember we had a bazaar on our terrace. We had a lot of sellers there selling a lot of interesting stuff, and those were good times. And I'm sure next year we will also have that. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Deepti, and all the best to everyone. I'm just ending it by saying that the only thing these last 90 days that has, two things it has made me realize. One is that how हम सोचते हैं हम तोप हैं मगर है नहीं, क्योंकि how interconnected we are as businesses, as entrepreneurs, because if I may do well and you are not doing well, then we are all both not doing well. So one is the great humility has revisited all of us, and the second thing is just remember that you are actually not alone in this time, because it's very tough. We might smile and laugh and people might portray or everything, but what I have seen very closely from some of the best and the biggest entrepreneurs to everyone is that everyone is in it, struggling and fighting their own battle. So everyone is fighting right now. So yeah, keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May I now welcome my colleague Ramarco for our next session. He will be hosting a panel discussion on how MSMEs are championing India's technology-led transformations. So over to you, Ramarco.
Thank you, Deepti. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us today for this chat. What has now been accepted as the new normal, businesses across the board have had to rethink their short-term and long-term strategies to cope with the new realities, especially in how to respond to the challenges at hand, how to ensure productivity, how to stay connected and engage with their workforce, and how to create value as an organization. I am Ramarco Sengupta from Your Story, and I'll be your host for this session. With our MSME Week series, we have tried to explore and highlight the ways in which micro, small, and medium enterprises can power business relevance, continuity, and growth in the current scenario. For this webinar, we have a brilliant panel who are at the forefront of all the action at their enterprises. We have Nath Parmeshwaran, Director PayPal India, Sandeep Chetri, COO Trade India, and Gaurav Khatri. He's the co-founder at Noise Audio. And last but not the least, we have Mahesh Ramamurthy, who's the Managing Director, APMEA Banking and Payments at FIS. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. I have a couple of common questions for all our panelists to begin with. So, just feel free to take them as we go along. I'll start with the COVID crisis. Obviously, now SMBs are now at the cusp of a digital transformation. Several traditional old-style players are now being forced to adopt the digital way to stay alive and relevant. I'd like to understand the challenges and the opportunities from our panel here.
Namako, let me start. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. See, the COVID-19 has, there's like lots of opportunities which has opened currently, not only for the digital space, but for the SMEs also, to be very frank. Okay. What has changed, in last 90 days or so is the habit, the habit the people has inculcated within themselves. So the E word is trending a lot, whether it's E for essentials, E for economy, E, learning, E, digital marketing, and so e-consultation for doctors. So the E word is trending a lot today, right? And it has taken, across all the categories today, okay? And this is what the SMEs are also understanding today. So the best part of this 90 days has been the adoption of the digital space, the digital transformation from the SME side. Of course, as you correctly said, there were lots of resistance initially, pre and post COVID. There are two different things, aspects of it. Okay, so pre it was like there were lots of resistance from the SME side to adopt technology as a whole. But what has changed today that because of the COVID, we have been pushed to the digital age today, right? We have been pushed to the digital age, and SMB have been, always adopting new things because of the pressure, coming from the different aspects of the business. If you see when it came to demonetization, they had to adopt, e-wallets or e-digital payments, right? When it came to GST, they had to adopt the technology in the sense that they have to file everything online. Okay, so lots of things had happened before COVID, but because of the COVID, where everybody is talking about digital economy as a whole, everybody was thinking digital economy will happen by 2025. But what it has done, the pandemic has done, is brought this digital economy step forward, and we are knocking the door today, right? And then there has been very, very positive, response from the SMEs also, which I'll keep on updating in the next questions or so. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. So Sandeep, you mentioned the letter E, which is now all the rage. So
Yeah.
obviously the e-commerce wave is, everybody's talking about it, and in many ways it is the order of the day, like
Yeah.
Sandeep mentions. So I want to understand from somebody else perhaps this time that how this wave has affected SMBs across the board.
Let me take a shot at this. This is Nath Parmeshwaran. Thank you for having us here. Okay. So, I'm excited to be here and, through you talk to a number of SMEs and, share our thoughts. So on that question, relevant, I will just straight away say that, this is actually an opportunity and, backing it by numbers. Okay. The initial period was pretty tough. But what we are seeing in our business is that SMBs are coming back with a vengeance. Okay, and when I say they are coming back with a vengeance, the business PayPal is in to help these SMEs. A very, very large number of them who either sell merchandise or they sell export services. And we help them export it to 200 markets, to 300 million users, and help them receive payments in a very safe way. The data that is telling us in April, May, and June is surprising us. Okay, the SMEs like Shraddha in the previous panel said are fighting, are a very resilient lot, and we are seeing that in numbers. Okay, we were ourselves under the impression that with logistics broken, supply chains broken, this will not happen. But guess what? Our SMBs have proven all those trends wrong. So what is happening is the numbers are showing up on the consumer side overseas, okay, where PayPal has 300 million consumers. We are seeing such an activity and attraction of new users like never before in the history of the company. Just in the last 3 months, we have added 10 million consumers. The message to our Indian SME through this trend is that there is a demand. There are consumers who are looking for Indian products and services. Focus on the quality, focus on the right price point, focus on the right branding, and you have an opportunity. What we are also seeing is a very interesting trend is that new segment of shoppers for the first time are coming in overseas market. Okay, people who are in the age group of 50 to 60 or 70 who can be called as silver tech shoppers with their gray silver hair are coming on the digital platform. They don't want to go out for all the reasons that all of us face, and they are trying to get their stuff online. The third trend for our SME friends is, everyone has realized that we haven't treated Mother Nature the way we should with the care, right? And it is coming back to us in with a vengeance in not just COVID, but in many other ways. So there is a demand, especially in these Western geographies and in most of the developed world, that when I purchase a product, they want to see how are we producing it? Okay, is it natural? Is it going back to the communities who produce? Okay, and guess what? India is right there in that slot. People value our handmade goods, with natural fibers, natural, recycling measures, and there is that emphasis on safety. I think after an initial start, Ramco, this is turning out to be an opportunity. The numbers are going up. The trend lines are all positive.
Sure. Before I move on to specific questions for you all, I'd like for Gaurav and Mahesh to come in and share their thoughts on the broader.
Yeah, so, like Mr. Nath and Sandeep have shared, so these are more connected with the SMB businesses, whereas a brand like us who are primarily dependent upon, the e-word already. So you were already online based brand. So my perspective on this is a little different. So I'll talk about more on the consumer side, how we have seen the increase in the base of consumer, how people are accepting the online payment thing, which was primarily being, COD and all those things. So first month where nobody knew anything about how things gonna shape up. Consumer also took little time, but fortunately things turned out really well for a brand like us, where we could see a lot of online transaction happening. Earlier we used to push the customer to make an online transaction rather than choosing COD, which has become an ease now. People are also avoiding the move. Okay, let's try to use the online payment method over the COD. That is one benefit which has come to the industry overall. Second, of course, the consumer base have gone up drastically. People who used to think 10 times before making an online purchase. That is a very good sign for the entire startup as well as SMBs industries, where these guys are getting a bigger consumer base, which was more dependent upon offline based shopping. So overall, if you ask me, I would say this has taught not only the brands, not only the SMB businesses, also the buyers and consumers, which is a positive sign for our economy, to how to utilize this opportunity. Now, opportunity is in front of everyone. Of course, I understand SMBs, being into an old-fashioned business, probably it's difficult, little challenging for them to, cope up with the new technology, understanding how this business works. But overall, it is a good opportunity for each one of us, be it a small or big organization. And good part for SMBs is because being a small setup, it's easy to pivot, easy to pivot into an online business and look into that space. So this is what I have to say on this. Rest will take it up going forward.
Thank you, Gaurav. Mahesh?
I think the way I would like to look at it is twofold. One is, if you look at the SME business and the MSME business, where are they today? Why are they not into the inclusion program, in this whole e-program? I think while there are technology capabilities that are available and there is a drive from the government, I see two issues there. One is I see an issue in terms of who's going to bridge their supply chain gap and their cash flow gap. See, today at the end of the day, all of them are struggling to trying to meet both their supply chain as well as in terms of their front end buyers, so buyers and sellers, right? And more importantly, in being able to ensure that their cash flow is there. So how do you ensure that the sustenance of the cash flow exists and that they are assured of it? Today, lot of them do cash-based transactions. It's still that sector is very high to get into the digital space. And in my opinion, while a lot of technologies and the move exists, I think we need to, all of us who are in either in the tech space or in the enablement space, we need to work towards ensuring that the SME and MSME business are supported extensively in terms of their opportunity to secure their cash flow, which means the front end demand side and the back end in terms of their supply chain that is there. And how do you assure them that digital payments effectively are very good for them to be able to make it secure for them. That is, if, for example, I'll give you an example. If there is someone in the village, in say near the village, and they are trying to make an artifact or do a particular craft that they have, and if they come and sell it, well, then there are two parts to the story, right? Two parts. There is an aggregator who wants to sell all of that. He wants to make sure at the end of the day, if he is back-ended, the person who's doing all the supply chain, who's giving all the goods, how effectively can that money pass through? Now, is that secure? Is that accessible to that person? Because if that accessibility is not there, if it's all digital, can he really make use of the digital money to buy his goods? Those things don't, as yet, are not coming together. That's one area that we need to work through to make them more inclusive. And then it comes in the front end when you are in terms of selling those goods. When you sell those goods, especially a lot of the times, it is all about saying how does the customer who buys it and how does the money reach to the end point in terms of the seller. I think that confidence, I would say, that confidence still has to be brought up, and that ability for us to make that confidence sustainable and be very clear about how we manage to give that end-to-end chain very securely and make sure it is usable to them is very critical. If we are able to bridge that and work to bridging that gap, you will see more and more SMEs and MSMEs joining this bandwagon, and hence the amount of cash coming low, the cash footprint coming low. And the moment the cash footprint comes low, your digital inclusion goes very, very high, and automatically it will come onto that. So I see that one big area for us to be able to address as technologists and as bankers, all of these, and the government. You see, government has put out sites, websites, and friends out here, colleagues out here have actually put on great trading platforms. But the assurance in the back end for these MSMEs is very critical. Once you do that, I think it's just the pivot for the whole ecosystem to just ramp up. To me, that's one area we have to probably address to fuel the growth. Because as yet, you see the e-commerce boom in India is only the tip of the iceberg. I don't think we have a huge unexplored territory that's there. But it's all about enabling the inclusion of these people onto those platforms. That is very, very critical. Because if I go, I've seen that's a lot of my distant relatives who probably have similar kind of an outfit back in their towns down south. Now, what really deters them from joining this online bandwagon is the fear of not being able to utilize the money and the fear of the fact that money may not come back to them after selling. I think we need to somewhere work to stitching them up. If we stitch that up, I think it's great game forward. That's my 2 cents, guys.
Sure. Thank you, Mahesh. Nath, if I could come to you, I'd like to understand the kind of spurt that we've seen in digital payments during the pandemic. Now we're talking about how people are slowly adopting digital payments as a preferred mode of payment. But in terms of numbers, what kind of an increase have we seen, Nath?
Ramku, I will not share specific numbers, okay, at a company portfolio level, right, for obvious reason. But all I can tell you is that, our ecosystem, especially I'll again stick to this corridor of, small businesses exporting and getting money, okay. We have seen at least, like I said, it was a tough time for the industry, starting with our SME community and platform providers like us, right, payment providers like us who help these folks get in that money from consumers into their bank account, and then they're using it. To Mahesh's point, it was not about fixing that. That was already existing. So the beauty about our platform is the confidence is there. The sales that they do today, exports wise, okay. So the day sales, let's say do $10,000, okay. Next day they get the money into their Indian bank account, all approved under RBI rules, okay. That is the speed at which the money comes to them. Many times before actually they have even shipped out the goods. So Mahesh's point is very valid that there is room to improve and keep this very smooth when it comes to India. But the process of getting this money quickly and the confidence and the certainty, there are many of us in our space, but like PayPal, we are very fortunate to have a very large position. There we have been able to solve that problem. Okay, the uptick is in terms of percentage, in terms of numbers, I can kind of give it at an industry level is it's already gone up 25 to 30%. Okay, in the last 3 months. And we had a rough time between Jan to March leading up to COVID. Okay, and that period when COVID hit us was pretty bad because other countries where our exporters export were already hit much before, and it was a very early day. So there was panic all over. People were first figuring out their own safety and security. That's the kind. So if you ask me, like I said, the trend lines are positive. The last 3 months have shown us that there is a huge pent-up potential. And again, recap that the consumers in the overseas market are taking to online with a vengeance like never before. And one stop is definitely India. So I would remain very bullish about this.
Now the revival of our economy is obviously largely reliant on SMB's revival, right? As they form the very backbone. So what kind of a role do you think digital payments can play in the revival?
So Mahesh again touched it beautifully, okay? And also Sandeep, as well as Gaurav, okay? All the panelists. One thing very important for the SMB is cash flow, okay? He needs money in his bank account. Okay, he needs to grow his sales, and that money he needs to pay his employees or his suppliers. Okay, the whole supply chain. Now, the job of people like us is to really partner. Okay, we don't compete with these SMEs. Our job is to say, how do you give the money quickly? Okay, digitally. Okay, the entire process is digital now. He is finding customers digitally. He's selling it digitally. He's receiving it digitally. The times have gone where, to Sandeep's point, that there has been a fundamental change in behavior. Okay, what you see with cash and check, we are not going to see to go back to that old world in a hurry. Okay, let's play this out, right? A small business earlier used to say that to a small supplier, he will say, "Sir, आप check लेके आइए और सामान लेके जाइए." Okay, and his office boy. He will send them with the check and take the goods, right? Now the worry is that, where is that office boy is willing to go? Okay. Number two is even if he gets the check, he has to now send another office boy to bank, in his bank. Who wants to go? Okay. From a consumer point of view, play this out, right? COD, like Gaurav said, is not happening because again, you have people who need to handle this. Number two is, customers don't want to go to the shop. All SMEs are also consumers, right? Think about it. You go to a very large shop, you are asked to stand in line. What used to happen in maybe 10 minutes, now you have to stand in line and wait for 2 hours, right? To just go and see and test your products. Test the products you may want to buy. Nobody wants to do that. So there is a fundamental shift in how people are going to purchase, how they want to buy. Therefore, it is driving digital payments. Right. So whether it is existing or digital, I think the pivot has to happen fast if it has not already happened. The platforms are there, the government policies are there.
Right. While there's no doubt that the shift is happening slowly, but a lot of new adopters of digital payments and even otherwise, fear the risk and security aspect of it. How do you, allay those fears?
I will first take a shot and then also Mahesh, we are both in the same business looking at this, okay? Yeah. So, what is happening here is, when fraud and this risk is like a balloon, okay? You press one side and it kind of the air moves to the other side. What I'm saying is, when there was a lot of cash and check, there was a lot of frauds related to those aspects. Okay. Now transactions moving online, the air is moving there. What I mean by is that the fraudsters are also moving online, and let us remind ourselves they are a step ahead. Okay, so company like us, okay, have really kind of last 20 years just looking at this. We first think ourselves as a security company, cyber security company in the business of payments. What do we mean is trust and security and confidence, right? That is only retained when we are able to show the user, whether it is the SME or the consumer who is going to say use it, okay, is absolutely certain that one, there is fraud protection. Number two, things if they go wrong, can they come back and make the payment provider responsible, right? We have a very unique proposition called PayPal Seller Protection. What it is that they keep exporting their goods and services. Very few instances, if there is a fraudulent transaction, they can come back to PayPal and demand a refund. Okay, we'll verify the claim and in most cases give the money back. That gives them a lot of confidence that my money is secure, I'll use it. Okay, if things go wrong, he can come to PayPal. We are responsible for protecting him against fraud, otherwise don't use us.
Right. Mahesh, so I want to understand what have been your observations as far as a contactless payment is concerned during the pandemic. And I want to also know from you if you think it's a trend that most people will stick to in a post-pandemic world order as well.
So let me step back a bit on this. So, if you look at contactless payments, right? So earlier, people used to love seeing the color of money, and they used to love see the gadgets and everything, right? They used to go across there. So every time so I'll tell you a classic situation is we run close to, as FIs, we run close to about 20,000 ATMs across the network here in India. We used to see a huge rise in the ATMs because cash was still the king across this population that we look at, tier 3, tier 4 cities. Tier 1, tier 2, yeah, still digital. But so now with this, there is definitely a shift. There is an ask to say, how can contactless payments make its way into each of the buying propositions? I would say buying propositions. Now, there is only an X amount that people go on the online and do it. But when you go across, we now seeing an increased demand for mobile-based contactless capabilities. Now, in fact, in the last, I would say, 60 days, 90 days since pandemic, 60 days, increasingly every acquirer as well as issuer are asking us to say, what can you do differently, right? So you will see for sure contactless payments coming in by virtue of QR codes, both the push and pull QR codes, which is you've seen a lot of change coming out there. So QR codes is going to become a very big way. You're going to see very interesting changes at the ATM end. Now, you will also see some very interesting where you don't know. There has been a cardless withdrawal at the ATMs, but that's also not going to be there. You're going to have a very different approach that we are launching very soon, where you just need to walk up to the ATM and wave your card, and then you're out, cash comes out, and rest everything is from the safety of your mobile, that you create a transaction, keep it ready for yourself, walk up to the ATM and get it done. Now, all this is all great for tier 1, tier 2, but when you go down into the tier 3, tier 4, the same approach has to be slightly different. Now, you have to make it slightly different in terms of how you enable regional language-based capabilities to make it work. And this is where, when we service a lot of we have a lot of microfinance companies and banks whom we really today service. And that's where we see the endpoint, the handheld terminals that all of the credit officers carry. We are enabling a lot more capabilities on that end for contactless payment. And when I say contactless, we're shifting from AEPS, which is the Aadhaar-enabled payment systems, to see if we can test the retina-based, which is essentially the next level of authentication that is available. Today, if you look at it, when we gave the Aadhaar footprint, we had both the thumb impression as well as the retina. So I think what will happen eventually in the next, I would say 6 to 8, 12 months, you will have more and more opportunities for making frictionless payments, use of not just use of card, but also use of uh, as a retina based, I would say, approvals, which will start to emerge very soon. And you will see very significant shifts happening. Is it here to stay? I think it is here to stay.
Right.
I don't think now it will only force technology to drive some innovations. And we are now looking at some dramatic innovations, specifically at the point of sale, at the
Right.
point of dispensation.
Mahesh, before we move on to Sandeep and Gaurav, I want to quickly address the cybersecurity aspect of it, what I was just talking to Nath about. So, as digital payments rise, the concerns around digital frauds and hackers also rise with them. So what sort of measures are being put to address these concerns is what I'd like to understand.
I think it's a very good point you brought about, and Nath touched upon very much in detail. So let's look at it from the banking system. I think from a banking system, which essentially are mediatories to, in fact, a transaction flow. I think the rise of digital payments, exponential rise of digital payments, has essentially created lot more awareness within the risk culture of the bank. I don't think it is yet it's peaked up. As yet, it is still going. It is so the need is there for a lot of the banks to create an entire risk culture that essentially tries to understand how fast the money movement and how well you can track it. But the traceability of it, like earlier on, you could still halt a particular cash withdrawal at the end point, which is a branch, or it could be you block your card or whatever. But today, in the age where money moves so fast, if you're not really up your risk game, you're lost it. The money is gone.
Correct.
But so that is very critical. So essentially, the fraud management and the risk capabilities has to be very the game has been upped across. So we are looking at what we are now seeing is every organization, whether it is in terms of the acquirer side of the story, issuer side of the story, or intermediaries who are looking at it, are starting to realize the importance of having the risk management as a very integrated practice. And that's where FIS is also playing a big role, because it is embedded the risk as a tool essentially in making sure there is more proactive alerts. That's something which we are really making it happen today, and it's now a part of the integral value chain. Now you just look at it. No, now for the MSMEs that we are talking about, look at it earlier. He or she used to get an alert on the SMS, which is a feature phone. He or she used to walk up to the branch, and you could probably use your checkbook or whatever, and take your challan and take your cash out. He's secure. Now, he doesn't pay for it, and he knows physical cash is there with him. Today, for those who are in the towns and villages and everything who are there, those people will know. Suddenly, if they have some incident which really blows out their cash, where do they go for? I don't think the system of there is no redressal system which is more effective. That's coming up the curve, but it is still not there. The
Needs to be more robust.
They know how to do it. So when the
Correct.
digital frauds hit them, the ability for the entire redressal system to manage that, like Nath was talking of how PayPal has brought it up their system as assurance. I think that larger money assurance which is assured to get you, is very critical. So the risk practices across the companies, across banks, has to be far more up the game. It is not yet there. In my view, I would say next 12 months will define a lot for India.
Right. Thank you, Mahesh. Sandeep, if I could come to you, I'd like to understand from you the increasing popularity of digital bookkeeping among SMBs. SMBs seem to be getting comfortable using inventory management, tracking, enterprise resource planning, and other such software. Would you say this is a trend that's catching on and here to stay?
Marco, so just let me give a larger picture of the SMEs first. Then you'll understand how the digitization has helped SMEs and how the SME ecosystem looks like. Pre and post it primarily. That's why I'm always comparing with pre and post. So what this pandemic has done. So now, if you see today in our consumer behavior, so Mahesh and Nath have talked lots about fundamental change in consumer behavior, which is happening today. So the fundamental change. What are the changes which has happened? So home has become the new office. Indoor is the new outdoor, right? Yeah. And if you see the internet penetration, which has increased, if you see today, so 17% of the internet population of the world is from India, right? So the internet adoption has really increased in India, where then this cybersecurity and everything comes into play as well, right? Okay, and we are just next to China, okay. But if you see the SME ecosystem altogether, so in SME, like there are 63 million SMEs, and 37% of the SMEs were digitally connected, just 37%. So 63% were offline, okay. But what this 90 days or 100 days has done has transformed the SMEs who were not online. They are forced to be online today, okay. And what typically this has done is, let's see, when it comes to technology, how we see SME today is SME seen as unorganized and a very disorganized kind of business, right? And SMEs have been struggling to get accounting or compliance, in order, okay. So just to give you some examples, we have been talking to lots of SMEs. So we have a huge team of, marketing people who have been talking to SMEs, and what are the challenges they face. Somebody who used to come to us, sir, they doesn't have check. The accountant is not there. The accountant has gone back to their hometown. They don't know where they want the payables coming in, where their part payments are there. So lots of challenges which is there, okay. And so at Trade India currently, we have almost 5.5 million SMEs who are using our platform. So what we did, we started doing a survey with all these SMEs to understand what has been their learning in the lockdown. Okay, what were the tools they want? What are the digital tools they want? Primarily to cope up with this new normal. Okay, so primarily it came up with four proper feedback and a very good results which we got from this particular survey. One was on the demand generation. So SME were looking at how to generate the demand. Okay. Second, how they can optimize their operation for remote working, because they were not ready for this situation. Third was the payments. Now, as Nath and Mahesh both talked about payments. Payment was like fund the cash flow and payments, which is one of the primary larger play for the whole SME business. And fourth is the credit side of it. Okay, so if you see today SME as a whole, the whole business revolves around credit, right? They work on credit. So whatever people are buying, there's a credit cycle, 30 days credit cycle, 40 days, 45 days credit cycle in terms of payment. Okay. So the SMEs were struggling, to understand how they can do it. And all the data currently where they're in their system, the hardware which is there in their office, right? Okay. They were not adopting cloud solution. Okay. This is where, and if you see the consumer behavior, we talked about lot about consumer behavior changing today. Everybody who is going on digital modes of payment to reduce risk for COVID-19. As Maya said, that who will go and drop the check, right? That is not. So that is where I consider that this is a new change which is happening, and I term this as a consumerism. The new word which has evolved is consumerism, the new behavior of the consumer which is today. Okay,
Right.
so because of this credit, and which revolves under the credit, so the SMEs, they require, what are the areas they are looking at now? They want somebody, so because of the survey which comes, they want something which they can get the receivables, they can do the collections, they can do the expenses, and also do the inventory management, because these are all linked with each other. Okay.
Right.
And what we did in Trade, we just created a small feature 4 months back. It's a very interesting data which is there. 4 months, we created a small invoice feature. So whenever they get leads, they can create an invoice and share that with the buyer. To our surprise, in last 4 months, there was around 1,800 crores of transactional value. INR invoice was generated, 1,800 crores by this SMEs. That's so the kind of adoption they are bringing digitally. So their invoice has gone from physical to digital today. Okay.
That's amazing. But very interesting insights there. Gaurav, I want you to quickly talk about the fact that there is an increasing chatter about automation and how they may take away several jobs. So from a manufacturing and business process standpoint, I want to know how SMBs are adopting automation, and if you could also touch upon the job loss fears connected with it.
Honestly, when you talk about any startup or any SMB business or any business which, so when you talk about, we are the service users at end of the day. automation has become a forceful part of any business now. You can't be competitive, you can't save cost, you can't save time, you can't save anything if we are not adopting those automation, be it payments, be it digital marketing, be it in your performance of team businesses, or your automation in terms of inventory or anything. So it has become, of course, a very mandatory part for any business to adopt for the automation in all the areas. When we are talking about we are hearing those words AI, we are hearing all those new fancy terminologies in the technology, and it has become a mandatory part for any business to survive today and to be up in the race. We need to opt for all those technologies. We Just for an example, maybe a year back we were not using an AI based marketing tool, okay, which used to not give us the information and how we are spending, how well we are spending, of there is a scope in terms of saving the money there. The moment we implemented it, we saw drastic results, and we saw improvement in our efficiencies. Parallelly, when we always talk about automation, we always discuss about the job losses. The job losses is not, honestly, that's my personal opinion. I'm not expert here, but what I've seen and what we have believed in, automation is more related to job creations also. The only people who are not able to adapt with the technology which is required to live tomorrow, they are the people who are getting opted out from any of the organization or probably any of the businesses. Maybe 10-15 years back, when computer came in and all the bankers, I have a lot of people in my family who are bankers, so they used to struggle a lot in computer. But today computer has become a very normal for everyone, and everybody started using it. Honestly, every technology, every automation, there is a person behind it to develop it, to run it. So there is no job loss as such until unless there is a manual work which was happening. The only part and the fear here is for any organization or SME is to cope up with the automation, to run their business with automation and have the business also such that it can also improve with the technology. We talk about CD business, we talk about pen drive business long back, they've all gone. So just because of the technology, they could not cope up with the technology. Technology moved really, really ahead of them, and they could not cope up. And there are millions of examples there. So the bigger challenge for any business today is to have an understanding of how the business would be after a year or 2 or maybe 3, because technology is running very fast. We can't talk about 10 years of business line. It's just year or 2 years. We need to have a clear vision there. Need to have an understanding of how tech gonna change, and or what all changes gonna come in your business, how you're ready with it. So of course, those would be the things. These are my points. Job loss.
So basically, keeping up with the times is what you're talking about, Gaurav. I think that's a very interesting note to end on. We've completely run out of time. I'm sorry, we'd love to continue. But thank you, gentlemen. This was a truly insightful discussion with a lot of great takeaways. I wish you and your organizations the very best in all your efforts. And thank you, dear listeners and viewers, for tuning in. Good day, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Ramardo.
Thank you, Ram, and everyone. Thanks. Bye.